Welcome to Long Island Talks with me, Mace in your face, and my co-host, Dr. Gene. Long Island Talks, everything Long Island, even if it's not. Let's get lit together. And I know you're all looking very much forward to our special guest for today, Hollywood actress Erica Irvin, aka Amazon Eve, a transgender advocate, but due to Wi-Fi problems at the hotel she's at, she's unable to be with us today. So that you're not disappointed that we don't have the transgender, we're going to have a trans something. That's right, folks. I am going to be transparent.
Look at those guns.
Wow.
But at least I still got head.
You still got head, right?
Those guns can't be controlled by any gun control. How are you, Gene?
I'm fine. Wow, you look good today.
Thank you.
Your head looks good anyway. You're totally transparent. I mean, we believe in transparency.
Transparency is very important.
Yes, and we are transparent. One
Yes,
day
we
I'll
are.
be transparent.
And the nice thing is, cameras are known for putting weight on you, taking weight off me.
I don't know. It puts weight into my face because I tend to have the chubby baby face. When I was younger, people didn't believe I was older because I had a baby face, a round face.
Oh, come here, let me pinch those cheeks. Oh, you're so cute.
Oh, I hate it.
What about bobbing for apples? I heard you like that from your youth.
I was telling you, we were last week, the Cub Scouts or the Boy Scouts were talking about bobbing for apples, and it brought back a memory I had when I was 13, when I was a Girl Scout. And we were bobbing for apples. And as I was bending down into the tub, I was having trouble getting the apple that kept slipping out. I have a small mouth. You wouldn't know it by how much I talk, but I do. So anyway, at one point, I was trying harder to bite into an apple. And one girl kept getting upset. Her name was Donna. And she kept saying, Gene, you're licking all the apples. You're getting your germs on them. Just take it. And finally, she grabs it in her hand and gives it to me. So I took it. I find out later that she's a lesbian. And I'm thinking, she always acted tough, but I wasn't sure. I didn't think at 13, when we were 13, you didn't really think that way. Gay, straight, you hardly thought about the opposite sex except maybe to get an ankle bracelet from them if you were a girl. That was the height of going out. But anyway, I find out this Donna is gay, and I'm thinking the first stage of any intimacy is usually kissing, I would guess. And with kissing, mouth to mouth, tonguing, you're getting some germs. I mean, that can't be avoided. What does she do with her girlfriend if she's so afraid of me getting the germs on the apples in the bobbing pail?
Yeah, well, licking apples, she'll be licking other things. What does it matter to her?
But if she's so afraid of germs,
That's what I mean.
Are you saying that the other things don't have germs?
I didn't say the other things don't have germs. It gets all sweaty down there.
Of course.
And, so big deal about licked apples if you're going to lick that.
Exactly. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Although I got to tell you something personally. There's all this controversy about conversion therapy.
Yes.
And
you had some good ideas.
First of all, we should ban bobbing for apples.
Why?
Girls should bob for cucumbers. Boys should bob for tacos, and get them started early. Very subliminal and indirect. Get them used to it. Then, if it doesn't work, you don't sit there with these stupid Bible verses or whatever they're doing in conversion therapy.
Which doesn't work anyway.
No, you either take the gay guy or the lesbian girl, and you have another gay or lesbian seduce them into bed, tie them down in the bed, blindfold them, and then swap out for an opposite gender person to give them the best oral they ever had. When they orgasm, the best they ever had. You pull the blindfold off and say, ha!
Well, you're doing better than our transgender guest was going to do.
How so?
In dirty talk.
I didn't know she was going to do dirty talk.
I'm sure she was.
What's dirty about what I'm saying?
What's dirty? Well, what's dirty is, you're making it very heterosexual dirty. Now, first of all, that might not be the case. A lot of the people, if they were the guys, let's say they're the guys and they get jealous. You know how the boys want to be in the Girl Scouts and the girls want to be in the Boy Scouts? What if the boy said, I don't want a bob for bananas or cucumbers. Or I don't, yeah, I want a
No, boys
bob.
bob for tacos.
I want a bob for bananas or cucumbers. What if the boy wanted to do that?
Then we get them to the camp where the same gender seduces them, ties them down, blindfolds them, and the gender swap out for the best ever oral, pull the blindfold off and say, "Ha! You're a psychologist. Do you think it would
Well,
work?
you know what they used to do?
Do you think it would work?
I don't know. It depends. They'd have to be somewhat willing. I know at some of these so-called conversion camps, what doesn't work is they teach the men not to use so-called female, or I would think more metrosexual expressions. You know, like when you describe a color, you don't say mauve, you don't say teal. You just say red, blue, you know, boring Crayola colors.
How would that have any impact on sexual preference?
Because supposedly only the women are the ones who talk about fine distinctions in colors and art. So
Graphic
they're
artists.
teaching the men.
Graphic artists.
They're metrosexual.
No, they're not.
In a way, metro,
No, then
metro. I said metro meaning like a city
Yes.
heterosexual
Okay,
who
no.
doesn't mind showing his feminine
Years
side.
ago, I was in advertising, involved in graphic arts, and there were tough mothers doing graphic arts.
Sure.
And would look at a color and give you the technical name for the color, and can even give you the ink percentage breakdowns of the different color inks to make that color. And they were not metrosexual. It was a feminine, not a feminine side thing. They just knew color.
They just happen to be skilled in art.
Yeah.
Okay, that's like the girls that happen to be skilled in
Because
science.
it's not like they were an artiste.
Not an artiste.
You know, an artiste.
I thought you could be an
That it's
artiste
graphic-
and still be hetero.
graphic
though.
artist art
if
is
you're
very
a very
different.
urban type of guy and you have a lot of friends that are heterosexual, homosexual, gay, or lesbian, everything, you know, bi, then you can be like a metrosexual, and you really can't tell
What's
what you want.
metrosexual?
A city type, an intellectual who accepts everybody, more towards liberal than
We're
conservative.
talking about when you say accepts everybody, does that just mean they, you know, if you're happy with that, I got no problem with it as long as you're no one
Right,
else?
right,
Or do you mean
right.
accepts everyone in the sense of, ooh, come here, I'll go with you
Might
because
even
I
try
accept
it.
everybody.
That's what they call on the adult friend finder apps, which of course you know I might have been on for research.
Ha!
They have
thought
a
that was
certain
you.
class of people that are seen as bi-curious. They want to get with the same sex just to see what it feels like. They're not really attracted to that, but
Oh, I
they,
thought it
they
was
wanna
called
try everything.
trisexual.
Try?
Yeah, try anything at least once.
Oh, that's good. I thought you meant transgender, or something. Somebody who's in between a transgender operation. You know, where they're given the hormones, but they haven't had the surgery yet.
pre-op.
Yeah, they're in a sense trigender.
No, they're not three genders.
What gender are they?
They're whatever they were born.
But they're being given the hormones pre-op.
They can appear a different gender.
Yeah.
They can live as a different gender. But your DNA of your chromosomes of XY, that determines your biological gender. Whether you want to change it physically and live your life different or not, you are still that gender.
So then, according to you, according to Mace in your face, the person who's post-op for a gender change operation would still be the gender they were born.
They were born. It's not the gender they're living.
But they
it's not
don't have the
gender they're
equipment
appearing.
anymore.
But they have the chromosomes.
So you're saying it has to go by the chromosomes.
That's what I'm saying.
What if they
Technically,
find a way to alter their DNA, which they probably will in the
that's
next 10 years?
another story. You
That will
change.
probably happen very soon.
I'm sorry, folks. My allergies are killing me. My eyes are itching like nobody's business.
I was
And
breathing
I
in
once
rest.
tried to hold my eye open real wide and get my whole hand in to scratch, but God, it hurt so bad. I'll never do that again. So I'll just rub my eyes a little bit.
You do the strangest things on camera. You know, we're on camera now.
Are we?
Yeah, you eat.
I didn't know we're on camera.
Yeah,
Wait a
yeah.
minute. My nose is runny.
Okay,
think I
well,
have a-
you brought the tissues,
I think
so
I have
that's
Kleenex
okay.
here somewhere.
Okay.
Let me just
you know,
let me just stop it up so it doesn't run down my nose while on camera.
Okay,
Okay, now I don't have to worry about it dripping down my
good.
face.
You look better that way, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah, it covers your mustache, and maybe you know, if you do that, hide your face enough. You're bad.
Yeah.
You are bad, bad, bad.
So now here's a question, though. Okay. Transgenders on post-op, they seem to have like a 40% rate of suicide, where the normal rate of suicide in population in general, I think, is 0.04%, but it's like 40% on post-ops. And there's a fair amount of pre-ops that reverse it, but you can't reverse it once you're post-op. Do you have any psychological enlightenment on this?
You know, that's why they have to require a lot of psychological treatment and assessment and everything else before somebody gets the sex change operation. Because there really is no going back. And a lot of times you're not happy with the way you are. You know, Christine Jorgensen was one of the first ones that did it in the 70s in Europe. And one thing that he said when he became a she is that all his life he was a man afraid of men. And he thought that men would be so nice to him because they seemed to be so nice to women. Then he became a woman. And he saw it was even worse. Now that he was a she saw it was even worse being a woman afraid of men. So that problem didn't go away by gender change. A lot of men aren't athletic, or women are very strong and tough, and they're thinking, if I only switch, if I'm only a man, if I'm only a woman, you know, all the problems will go away, and it doesn't.
No.
And that's what somebody's got to tell
them. So in other words,
them.
what you're saying is there's a much deeper rooted issue going on than the gender dysphoria.
I would think so.
That contributes to that high suicide rate.
I would think so. Now, the one exception that might be is the people that are born, and they're born transgender or not really having a definitive gender, and the parents, the rabbi, the priest, whatever, somehow the doctor decide to raise them as a boy or a girl.
You mean like a hermaphrodite?
Right.
Which at one time at birth, the parents had to decide, is it going to be a boy or a girl? And they would do surgery on that to address that, so they'd just be a boy or a girl.
I wonder how that worked out.
Well, from what I've read, you know, which is not going to be at the level you would, being a shrinky
I haven't read that much about
you haven't?
that.
No, okay.
No.
Was that it did cause issues for some.
You mean if the
Because
parent decided they're going to be a boy, they
picked the wrong one based on what the hormones in the body was actually producing and which genitalia actually worked. They chose the wrong ones to remove or close up. And that's why I read that it's best in that situation to leave everything intact until the child gets older to see, you know, how everything fits.
A little more mature to see which develops more.
Although then again, if I were a hermaphrodite, then if someone said, go fuck yourself, I could say, at least I can, you can't.
Why does a dog lick his balls?
Because he can.
You know that one. You know all the dirty ones.
Well, that's not a dirty one. It's a true story.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
I mean, if guys could lick their balls, do you think any of us would ever go to work?
Maybe that's why God, in his infinite wisdom, made it that way that you can't.
There you go.
You see? Now, but as far as getting back to the hermaphrodite, now that we have DNA, how would that come out? I would think, as you were saying before, you should go with the DNA.
You go with the DNA.
What if you have XXYY?
I don't know why. You tell me.
What do you mean why I tell you?
You just said XXYY. I don't know why. You tell me.
I'm asking you, what if you have too many, what if you have two X's and two Y's? If you have XY, you're a boy.
Or XXY, maybe you mean?
Okay, I think they do have XXY.
And if that mutation occurs,
yeah.
Again, let the child get older and see how, you know, the child is feeling and identifying.
But then once the kid...
And maybe the kid won't be happy the whole life having all of it. Both of it without saying... So
that kid
one
will
up
be
or cut
famous.
one off.
Hey, that kid will be famous.
Not necessarily. There are hermaphrodites out there.
And they'll be interesting.
And
they just cross-dress as one or the other.
Except for the ones that, you know, want to make it known There are tons of them out there that no one has any clue unless you date them.
Look, I've heard stories. These are from the old times, but still, that people have gotten married. And let's say, all right, they didn't have sex until their honeymoon, and then after, at least enough to produce however many kids they had, that it turns out the person they married was their own gender and they didn't know it. How do they manage that? Keep the lights off?
I haven't a clue.
But this has happened. This has been documented.
You
You think they knew it and denied it or dissociated or something?
I have absolutely no clue.
Would you be in that position?
No.
No way? You wouldn't
No
pretend
way.
you didn't know it if it was a really attractive looking person and it had a little bit of the guy stuff, you wouldn't just pretend that you didn't see it?
No.
You do like in the crying game where he hauled off and belted her?
There was, I will never forget.
That's not right.
when
That's
I-
homophobic.
When I was a late teen, I was bartending. There was an old man bartender who said, a man of sage wisdom, if you ever go with a hooker or you meet a woman that just seems a little before you go off, give a smack like that right between the legs and find out for sure.
Before you go with a
Before you go, yeah. Make sure it's really a
They
woman.
were good cross-dressers, I'll tell you. When we used to do our public TV show in the city with cross-dressers, they looked more female than a New York City female would usually.
Did they have Adam Apple surgery?
Some of
Or-
them did, but others just covered it up with a turtleneck if it was in the winter. And one of them, her name was Allison, she said, hold up the production, I have to put polish on my nails. Now, I don't have polish, but I mean, nobody short of Madonna would hold up production to put polish on their nails if they were a genuine female.
Well,
So they're the most obnoxious traits of women. And the men, the cross-dressing women who could dress as men, are the most obnoxious traits of men. They act tougher than a man would usually act, like a drunken sailor.
Well, I got to tell you, I bartended at a synagogue in Huntington at bar mitzvahs, weddings, and it was a bar mitzvah, and they hired dancers, to go around.
Sure.
And two of the other guy bartenders were like, "Oh my God, look at those two hot," just drooling. I'm laughing. They're like, "What? You wouldn't go with them?" I'm like, "No way."
cross-dressers.
They're like, "Why?" I said, "Look at the Adam's apples, dudes. It's not women."
And the kids
they were
thought
like,
they what?
Well, they were, young kids.
Yeah.
No one's gonna, they were just
Look for
out
that.
doing
Yeah.
dancing and getting the people up to dance. And the two others were like, "No." I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, and I'm like, maybe you gotta wonder if your preferences aren't what you think.
What are the
and they got
women-
all upset with me.
What do the women do if their husbands walk away from them and go dance with one of the dancers?
Well, the dancers go out and grab, men and women to dance.
Oh, both.
But they would just
Equal
go out
opportunity.
to get people up
Yeah.
and dance.
That's good.
It wasn't like a courting thing or a seduction thing.
That's a good way to do it. Yeah. Just all in fun.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I want to give a big shout out to David Tillery, who guest hosted our show for us last week, since we took off for the holiday.
Thank you, David. And the Boy Scouts.
Yes.
His son
His
and
son's
the
the
friends.
Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I didn't post up, where you can watch the show during this week from last week in reruns. I thought David was going to do it. Seems he thought I was going to. So this week you're going to be seeing where to click to see last week's show and this week's show already recorded.
I think that he posted up on the playlist, if I'm not mistaken, he posted David's show, but he didn't post our number 4 show.
Okay, well,
In
first
the
of all,
playlist.
if in the playlist it says David's show,
No,
it's not.
it says our show.
Oh, okay.
But I'm
What are
saying
you doing?
I
Trying
know,
to start trouble?
I know that it's number 5.
Okay.
We were number 4 and we're number 6 now.
Yeah.
You see, I know my numbers. Do I get a gold star?
Yeah.
I think that's more like the 666 devil's mark.
Yeah.
I think that's what I got. Is it going to make me rich? It's supposed to make you rich.
Is it?
The rich are evil and they
So
get
go
the
to
mark
court
of
and
the
change
devil.
your name from Gene to Rich.
Rich.
And then you'll be rich.
Rich or Richie, Richina.
It could go that way.
Richie. I could be Richie. Then I could be either. Actually, Jean could be either.
Here's what I want to ask you, which I was going to ask Erica, but she's not with us today. There are those transgenders that are pre-op that claim for a guy to go out with them and even have sex with them is not homosexual. As a psychologist, what do you think?
Well, I know that for the pre-ops, when they're being given the hormones, but they haven't had that final operation that they can't go back from the point of no return. Right, exactly. They have to live the life of the gender that they want to be. And what some of them do is they live the life of the most promiscuous of that gender. They go out and pick up almost anybody, go home or go to a hotel with that person and suddenly expose themselves. And they wonder why it doesn't always work out, you know?
Yeah, and they wonder why sometimes they get beat up.
Sure. But that's what they're supposed to do. Because if they don't like having sex with men, let's say, and they're going to be a woman, then they shouldn't have the operation unless they want to be asexual as a female. You know, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
There was one woman who paid
But again, you're addressing that pre-op transsexual.
Yeah.
I'm asking about the guy she picked up. If he has sex, if a straight guy has sex with a pre-op transsexual, does that make the guy a homosexual?
If he actually follows through with it, it could make him bi-curious. You see, I gave him a nice name, even a metrosexual.
Well, bi-curious, I would think, is someone who thinks about it but doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Who wonders but doesn't do.
Right.
I'm talking once it's done. Would that make them homosexual or bisexual?
Only you can be something or make yourself something. And nowadays, you're born whatever you are. Rosie O'Donnell said you don't choose to be gay any more than you choose to have blonde hair.
Well, actually, I got to tell you something. There are those that, are gay, who are very high up in the gay world of activism, who I know, and who, in sitting down and talking, they said, I said to them, my personal opinion, I don't think there can be one reason for anything. There are those, guys or gals who have, some horrible experiences with the opposite gender. So then they went to the own gender. Mm-hmm. There are those that, not guys are easy, but women who never had an orgasm with a guy, but they have them with the women all the time.
Most of them started on guys. Just about every lesbian. I mean, one thing I knew, this Donna girl, the one who didn't want me bobbing for the apples because I get germs on them, she was, or at least she spoke in as though she were promiscuous. It would be like, oh, you'd probably ask for the most important part of their body. You'd probably ask for his head. I know what I'd ask for. Ha, ha, ha. She was constantly talking about getting laid by men. And they find that a lot of women that then become lesbians started on guys. They had a lot of sex partners because they were trying so hard to like it. And they wound up going with girls and then finding their true
articles
location.
I read years ago, late 70s, early 80s, the women in the dorms, they would just get drunk and stoned and stuff and just play with each other.
Because there were no boys to play with.
Whatever. It just, like a not big deal thing.
They did that in jail.
Then they had orgasms with the other woman where they never did with a guy. And then they're like, I'll be with women more. But it wasn't, and it was all just on that. And yeah, I believe there are those that just want, the same sex or gender, or the whatever. But I'm just saying, I think there are multiple reasons. And this person, to get back to the story I was saying, said, no, it's not genetic, you're born that way. We started that because it's a way to stop the people who are trying to rationalize and do the conversion therapy and all that other stupid nonsense. That's why we say that.
By the way, conversion therapy is now considered unethical by the American Psychological Association. You can't practice that without being sanctioned by the APA.
I got to tell you this, okay? The American Pool Association that runs the pool leagues and the bars?
No, the American Psychological Association.
That would be ASA.
No.
Psychological, S.
That's a P. You're funny. You're funny.
So what was I saying? I totally lost my own train of thought.
About conversion
if I ever had a
therapy
train
and
of thought.
about it being
Oh, that's right.
unethical.
There is very successful conversion therapy in history and still today.
Yeah.
Yes, during the years ago, during the days of the Inquisitions, Catholic Church did it, and now ISIS and other Islam sects do it. It's you become our religion, or we cut your head off. And
I mean, you don't cut something else off.
many people do
Then
convert.
they'll have to become.
Many people do convert to avoid that.
Yeah, but if they do on the other part of their body, that's not the most important part. Although some people
Except
say it is.
ha.
Then they will have to
On
be
that body
accepted.
part could be post-op transgender or rabbinic circumcision.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, when the rabbis, supposedly, this is supposedly true, when the rabbis used to make a mistake, they would just say, raise the child as a girl. I'm not kidding.
I never heard that.
I heard that. I think I heard it from somebody who's gay, but I think I have heard that.
I never heard that.
It changes the hormones so much at such a young age. They say, raise the child as a girl.
All I know is this. To get circumcision at this age, my brain would be like, oh my God, what if he's got allergies? Oh my God, what if he doesn't know he has epilepsy and has his first seizure now? Oh my God, oh my God. No, leave it alone!
You're afraid of a vasectomy. That's why you didn't want, who was it? The woman who was tying you up, Spike, the dominatrix, to tie you up and to shave a little part of your arm because you were so afraid that she was going to cut you know what off?
Well, it wasn't just cut you know what off. I have a fear of anyone putting a razor to me. Every surgery I ever had, I shaved that area just before I go into the hospital.
You mean you're afraid of the razor, but you're not afraid of the scalpel?
Well, the scalpel, I'm unconscious.
So they can do more.
I'm
without
unconscious.
you
I
having
don't know.
anything to say about it.
I'm running again.
Anything to avoid this conversation.
Yeah, change the topic.
Yes, change the topic. We'll talk about snot instead. You're acting very snotty today.
Well, it's my allergies making me snotty.
You know, I have allergies too. I could feel myself breathing up the grass and the trees, like going up my nose as I went down the side streets getting here.
Yeah?
But I use something I have to squirt in my nose. Something legal, you know.
Yeah, I use 3 different 24-hour allergy meds a day.
And it doesn't work.
Still doesn't. Oh, without them, it's so much worse.
Oh, gosh. I used to get shots. That the doctor
don't
we're
like
going to have
needles.
next week, Dr. Robert Bittman, is an allergist, and he gives those allergy shots.
And I'm
I
glad
got
I
them
won't
for
be
years.
here. I don't like needles.
Oh, well, we'll tell him to bring the biggest needle he has.
You can, because I won't be here. I'll be in Aruba.
You'll be in Aruba.
I'll be in Aruba.
Oh, you could Skype in, couldn't he, Danny? Couldn't he Skype in if he wanted to? Yes, Danny's
Okay,
nodding
well, I
his
could
head.
Skype in, but I won't be in the room with the needles, so it
Okay, okay.
won't matter.
And some people will do anything to get away from those needles. Well, at least we don't have to worry about you being an opioid addict as far as heroin. Usually the needle is the best.
True, but I recently found out you can snort heroin.
You can, but it's not the best way. The needle is the best way.
And you know why?
I just know that that's where it lasts the longest and goes
Go to the tracks much?
No. I don't go to the tracks. I don't like those tracks on people. Those are a dead giveaway. No wonder they snorted or tried. But that doesn't
Yeah,
really
but I've
work.
also heard that then to hide it, God, it hurts just to think about it. They'll inject between their toes so no one can see the needle marks.
It's a good idea.
I saw that on an episode of Drugs Inc.
What?
I saw that on an episode of Drugs Inc.
Did you?
Yeah, right between the toes.
Stop talking about it. I'm getting the creep
Oh,
outs.
come on. That's not so bad. You don't have that many nerves there because it's so far from your brain and
I think
your
it's
spinal
just
cord.
like the
You know,
area that I'm picturing in my mind. You know what I mean? It's just like a painful spot.
You're fading out of my ear thing.
I'm sorry.
If you bump your toe, you don't feel it for like a second until it goes to your brain? Did you
Yeah.
hurt yourself? Well, it's the same way with the needles. You don't feel it as much.
Well, also, needles, you really don't feel it all. It's all mental, the fear and the freak out.
You know, that's what I told myself. When I get those allergy shots, I mean, it goes into a muscle, and it might be a little bruising when I used to get them, but it's better than sneezing.
Any muscle?
Any muscle? The muscle, yeah. Usually they try more for the left hand, but they had to give some in the right because I got a few different ones. So, yeah, occasionally I got bruising. Somebody thought that I was being beat up. A guy at the gym, he thought that I was being grabbed, like, by both my arms. I said, no, it's my algae shot. See, it's both arms. He goes, yeah, like this. I see it all the time. You sure nobody's hurting you? I'm your friend. I'm like, nobody's hurting me, but this is what people think when they see little bruise marks.
Yeah.
I would think a shot. And they're thinking a shot from somebody.
I'll never forget, years ago, I was in Suffolk family court with a client, order of protection, against him from the wife. She said that, he hit her, kind of beat her up. All these photos of black and blues on her arm. And he's telling me, no, she just bruises really easy. Barely touch her, she bruises. And I'm just like, I'm thinking, yeah, right. Because, there's just certain things you hear.
Right.
That it's, well, so then there we are in court, going to do, neither admit nor denying consent, joking around. Everyone laughed hysterically. I turned to his wife, and I'm like, oh, just like this. That was funny, wasn't it? She was sleeveless. Her whole arm turned black and blue and swelled up. I said, whoa, wait a minute.
That's almost impossible.
Nearly immediately, and that's what this guy was saying. This is why I didn't believe him at all.
The joke's
And
on
I
you.
didn't even do it on purpose to go, that was funny, right? And I barely, I'm like, wait a minute, Your Honor. You saw how I barely touched her. Look at that arm.
So now you're on the other side.
And I got it tossed.
Oh, gosh.
Pretty funny, isn't it?
In other words, you were on his side.
Yeah, represented him.
And you didn't really believe what he
I
was
didn't believe
saying.
him. No, they're just certain red flags of certain things.
How did she make that happen, or how did that happen? How could it bruise so fast? Because I know when I would take a lot of aspirin, I mean, this is true. Sometimes, let's say I'd take aspirin because I had a bad back and I wanted to keep the inflammation down, and I'd bump my leg and I'd forget about it. And then a couple of days later, I'd be at the health spa and a girl would say, what's that on your leg? I'd see this big bruise like running down my leg, but it still took a day or two. It didn't happen immediately. I hardly even knew I hit myself.
Yeah.
So how did this happen immediately?
I don't know. Am I a biologist or a medical
Did you have
doctor?
some black on your hand or something,
No.
some magic trick?
No.
Okay, I'll believe you. So you're a good lawyer then?
That was just all by accident. On purpose.
Oh, that's funny. That's really funny. If I were her, I would have worn long sleeves.
Yeah, but she didn't.
She brought the pictures in.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to tell me she hit herself, because sometimes now they do have videos of somebody hitting themselves. Men too. They'll say their girlfriend beats them. And they'll hit themselves and they'll have a black eye. And you'll see if you're smart enough to get a video.
Yeah, that's why when things are starting to get a little hairy, I'll tell people, listen, I'm not up on the criminal laws. I'll tell you what I think the law is, but I'm telling you now, meet with a criminal attorney and make sure you don't violate the law. You're going to put nanny cams in all over your house. You cannot do sound inside, and I believe...
You can't? Not at all?
No.
Oh, I didn't
Sound
know.
outdoors, yes, because you have no expectation of privacy outside, but not inside. Because inside I can tape you without you knowing it if I'm part of the conversation. If I have the consent of someone
okay.
involved
If
in the
I'm part of the
conversation,
conversation.
or you're sitting at this table talking, and I'm right there at that side, and I can hear it no matter what.
Yeah.
I can record it because there's
Sound,
no
too.
expectation of privacy. The sound. Now the thing is, that's why.
What about the visual indoors? If let's
Well,
say
I
she's
think,
taking her clothes
well,
off
that's
in
what
the
I was
kitchen
about to
or
get
something.
to.
Yeah.
I think
you handle
cannot
everything.
put the camera in the bedroom or the bathroom because there's
Okay.
an expectation of privacy.
Yeah,
But
but some
again, I
people
always
walk
tell-
around without anything on, and
But I
at
tell
least in
people-
underwear in their living room.
I tell people, that's why I tell people, check with a criminal attorney to make sure you don't violate law.
Cover
and
yourself.
Then, yeah, because, years ago, before I was a lawyer, and I was going through stuff, and I was doing my old radio show, The Unfamily Hour.
Yes.
That started around 91, 92 on WGBB. And I was going around to all the different groups and organizations. And I would kind of fade in the back. They got to know me, and I would sort of disappear, like, transparent man. And they'd forget I'm there when they talk. And there was a couple of all women's groups for moms. And they would say, don't deposit the check, that your ex sends you. Just keep piling them up in the drawer, and after X amount is there, then file for a violation so they get arrested and go to jail.
That's not right if he's sending the child
because
support
without
all
a
the
canceled
time.
check, he can't prove it. And then others where it's like, when they go up to take a nap, take that little saucepan out from under the stove and hit yourself in the eye with it. And as soon as it gets black and blue and swollen, call the cops that he punched you in the eye.
Oh, that's not fair.
Then I would talk about it on my show and give the names of the people that are saying it and the names of the groups. And that's when they got furious with me. And,
What does Father's Rights say?
They got the National Women's...
Oh, National Organization for Women?
Yeah,
That's down in Washington, so you were pretty close by. They didn't have to go far to get to you.
No, they got to them to organize a national boycott of my show, even though it could only be heard in Nassau County.
Exactly.
It was a national boycott. And that's how I ended up getting huge attention and ended up with a big following, because once all these women's groups now went to this whole big thing to boycott me and talking about me everywhere, everyone's like, who? What? Oh, let me check that out. Belated thank you to all the militant women who hated being called out on the carpet for lying and playing games, who tried to boycott me and actually made me famous. I love each and every one of you. No.
They made you famous along with Howard Stern.
Yeah?
Didn't he talk about you on this show?
Yeah.
He didn't talk about me that I know of.
No, I know that after I made fun of Dominic Barber, he made fun of me a bit, but there was also... and back then I used to say, I'd rather be made fun of by Howard Stern than be complimented by Bill Clinton.
Hey, he likes women. What about when he stood up to his stepfather and said, I'm bigger now, you can't hit mom anymore?
Who did that?
Bill Clinton, his stepfather, used to hit his mother.
Ah.
And his brother verified that. His mother was a nurse, but apparently she married guys that needed fixing and thought she could fix them. And the stepfather was one of them who used to physically abuse the mother. She didn't leave him. Bill got big enough, and he stood up to the stepfather.
Good for him.
Now, if that's true, a lot of women forgot about his infidelity and a lot of things because he did that, standing up for his mother in that situation.
Standing up for your mother has nothing to do with whether you commit infidelity or not.
To his father. Well, in other words, they might not have liked him for his infidelities.
Okay.
But because he did that, they were willing to forgive a lot.
Okay. And
Yeah.
that's something else that, you just triggered in my brain here. So many people say that guys that commit a lot of infidelity and sleep with all these women are misogynists.
They don't
How
respect women.
Is that a misogynist? Clearly they love women and can't get enough of them.
Well, that's true. That used to be true about our current president. However, now he's too old. But, however, what happens is they might have the, what you call Madonna whore complex. The Madonna is the wife. She will have intercourse with you once every 6 months or whenever you want to make a kid. And the whore is every woman out there that they're attracted to. And they haven't learned to respect the woman that they sleep with. Now, that's a real problem.
Yeah, but there are guys out there that sleep with all these women. They treat them great. They respect them.
But
and
the woman
they don't
doesn't-
force the woman into
She's not
sex.
being treated great because where is he on Saturday night? He can only be with one of them on Saturday
And
night.
she puts up with it and understands it. So what I'm saying is, he's not doing that to her, leaving her alone Saturday night to be with other women. She's accepting that he does that.
Okay, that's a little different. Maybe
She's accepting it.
Maybe
and
she
he's-
does the same.
He's not, leaving her alone to be with that one because he disrespects her. He just loves women to be with tons of different ones.
I'll tell you, I ran into a very
And
attractive.
if they're lying to the woman, I could see that saying, that it's misogynist.
Well, mostly they're lying if they have one steady girlfriend because she won't accept it. Certainly if they're
Well,
married,
you're lying
they're
to the
lying.
steady girlfriend, but you're there for her first. I'm saying the side women, he's not disrespected. If he's honest, I have a girlfriend and I can just be with you at times we can be with each other.
For variety.
And you can't expect anything other than, good sex.
You
And
mean,
if the woman accepts that,
What if he
you
gets
can't
her
say the
pregnant?
guy is a misogynist who hates women. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, all right. Sometimes the abusers are guys that don't like women at all.
An abuser is another story.
Is a physical, I'm thinking mostly physical, because if you're verbal, I mean, everybody has a mouth, although that can escalate into physical. Yeah, it can.
Yeah. But all I'm saying is the guy that sleeps around and, unless he's disrespecting the women, not by other women saying, oh, but by doing that to her, it's disrespecting her. Not if she accepts it and permits it. He's forcing it, doing this and that, I can
That's
say.
what I was going to say when you interrupted me. In the locker room, I met a very attractive blonde. She was an older woman at the time, and she was talking about her boyfriends. Female locker room talk. One that she plays tennis with, one that she works
women
out
do
at the
it
gym,
too.
one that she has a husband. So he's probably doing the
But
same
they
thing.
don't have a term for women. They misogynist for men. So what would it be? Misogynist for the woman who's the same way?
No, they just say she's a slut or worse. That's an insult.
That's how you view women that do that?
Some
I don't.
people do. If she sleeps around, well, I tend to have a little bit of old-fashioned, like you have one boyfriend and you don't need others, unless the one goes away for years and years. But I mean, normally.
Sounds like you're speaking from experience on that one.
I never had anybody away in the military or anything, but a lot of military wives that when they come back, what was it? After the Second World War, when neither one of us were born, how many wives were pregnant when the husband came back? How many baby boomers were born like 5 or 6 months after the husband came back?
Yeah.
Although, if you ever saw Summer of 42, nowadays they would come and take that woman away. At that time, we thought that he took advantage of her. She hears the bad news about her husband, sleeps with him. He's a young, horny guy taking advantage. Nowadays, they'd blame her, the older female. Like the woman teachers that hit on the 17, 18-year-old high
Where
school
were they
boys.
when I was 17?
They never came to you?
No.
Well, didn't you have mostly older females and men that you would fight with because you were active with the union at that time?
I was never active with
Or
unions.
you were very pro-union?
Me, pro-union?
Oh, you weren't pro-union? Oh, wait a minute. You threatened the union head for some reason.
No, I didn't threaten him. He kind of threatened me.
He threatened you when you were a 16-year-old boy?
Yeah, and
He
I
was
kind
a
of...
senior. You were a junior. Not legal.
No, he was... What do you mean senior? He wasn't in the high school.
He's over 18. You're under 18.
Yeah, he was a grown person.
Yeah,
From-
that's not legal for him to
No,
threaten
and
you.
I pretty much knocked him down and told him, if anything happens to me, one by one, your family members, while you're forced to watch, and turned my back and walked away.
Okay, all right. You're saying that. Now, why was he threatening you?
Because I was arguing against tenure and seniority.
Oh.
Because all those baby boomer teacher hires where they need a teacher so bad, all you
Yes.
had to do was be able to sit behind a desk to get hired, had the tenure and seniority and were being kept, and the younger, really good teachers were being excessed.
That's true, because they didn't have the seniority, but I think you had an ulterior motive. Given what you said a few minutes ago, you wanted young female teachers that would be attractive to you and then maybe attracted to you. And in those days, if the teacher was female and it was a junior or a senior boy, especially once he was 17, in New York anyway, 16 will get you 20, 17's okay. Nobody would have done anything. They would have blamed the boy, if anything.
I don't know, I didn't think of that then, but if I had, I would have fought harder.
I'm sure you would have. It was mostly older men who actually didn't want to go to school so badly, they wanted to avoid the draft. So they weren't fighters, really.
And they became teachers?
Yeah.
You avoid the draft by being a teacher?
You got a student deferment in those days.
By going to school?
By going to school, but if you were going to school, one of the easiest majors where you could get into a job, not walk around with a BA and be hanging out in the streets in the village, a job training was the BA in education.
Yeah, except that back in those days, a college degree, any job was a higher paying job and a quicker hire. It's not like now where
until there were so many college
right.
degrees.
I'm talking, but back in those days, in the
that's
70s.
true. In the early 70s.
I have a question. Since I'm transparent,
Yes.
when I drink the water, can you see the water flowing through my body?
Let me see. I can't. Maybe Danny can.
Did you see
No.
the water, Danny, flowing through my
Drop it
transparent
on
body?
your shirt, and then we'll see
I
if
think
we can
it's-
see the water.
I think it's spilling onto the floor after you swallow it.
Okay.
You can throw some water this way. That would be okay. In little dabs. Okay. It's cooling everybody off.
There we go.
That's why I've got prints on, so you can't tell.
Wet T-shirt.
Yeah, wet T-shirt contest. Remember
Concert.
Concert. Well, at concerts they do it too, but wet T-shirt contest used to be a joke. Now it's sexual harassment.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. There were some kids on a plane, high school kids, and flight attendants and the kids and a pilot somehow got involved in wet T-shirt contests. Why am I saying concert? And one of the girls' mothers was a congresswoman. She got every flight attendant and pilot fired on that flight. I mean, there was big trouble.
To me, if the girl in the white T-shirt consents to the water being put on the shirt, it is not harassment. If the water is thrown on a woman with a white T-shirt who did not consent and doesn't want it to happen, that would be harassment.
Well, wait a minute, that's harassment, but I don't consider it sexual harassment. You know why? I always wear something either black or with print. If it gets wet, if I get caught in the rain, it won't be see-through. That's from Disney World. They have a list of things you can and can't wear. You can't take your shirt off. You would be kicked right out, You're not appropriate for Disney if you're transparent. And they say don't wear anything that will be see-through when wet. So you see?
That's just rules of the park.
Rules of the park, but it's rules.
But how does that bear on the conversation?
You see, Disney has this reputation of standing for decency.
Ah,
That's why they got the radio host Bob Grant off the air when Disney took over ABC. He moved.
Except, you want to talk about decency? I can agree with that with see-through clothes because not everyone looks decent in when the clothes.
That's what I think was the problem with the
see-through.
Congresswoman's daughter, that she felt that she wasn't equal to some of the other girls.
She was pretty ugly body.
Well,
So the mother got
she
upset.
didn't think she was developed enough. Whether you would consider that ugly at her age, I wouldn't. But the idea is that she felt self-conscious. So she got her mother involved to get everybody in trouble.
She got her mother involved, but why did she participate?
No, she didn't. She just happened to be there, and maybe some water was thrown on her.
Or maybe she wanted to participate but didn't because she felt
Yeah.
she couldn't stand up to it
Right.
and was upset that way. That
Might
could
have
be.
been. Might have been. I mean, sometimes they make big deals out of too many things. When we were younger, they didn't make big deals out of things that should have been made big deals
Which
out
I
of.
also think in many ways is good because you learn to put on your big boy panties and your big girl panties and just get on with it instead of, I need my safe place.
I could think that way, but at the same time, those rules seem to make people feel a lot more secure and a lot more likely when there really is something bad going on, like a bad stepfather or something, they're more likely to report it.
Okay, but that's something you should report.
Yeah, but I know that with kids when they were younger, if a neighbor, let's say, started behaving in a sexual manner, they wouldn't want to tell their parents. They would be afraid that they would get in trouble and not be allowed out, rather than the neighbor getting in trouble.
It's not just that. Back in the old days, you got to remember, an adult was believed over a child.
Yes,
So when the
usually.
child said, Uncle Buck, touched me, Aunt Beck touched me, Father Flanagan touched me. You got in trouble because you were making up lies about these people
Yeah.
and disrespecting them. That was the problem, a lack of acceptance that people do these things and the child must be making it up. How
Right.
dare
And it
you
was
accuse
always
them?
somebody in a position of respect or power.
Yeah.
Somebody who spent a lot of time around kids, the scout leader, not to say anything for our friend who co-hosted the last time, the priest, the minister, somebody who was an authority figure to the kids and who the parents felt comfortable leaving their kids with. Because if he acted weird, if he had horns, they wouldn't leave him there in the first place.
Well, that's why when David asked me to go camping, I said no.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
I don't.
Well, one way to prevent that is to have girls in the Boy Scouts and boys in the Girl Scouts.
Whew.
But then, the
Then-
older people
then
would
I'll get in
still bother
trouble.
the others. Yeah, I know you would. I know, definitely.
We forgot to thank our sponsor.
Yes.
We
He's
wanna
very
thank-
close to me,
Yes.
sitting very close, almost
Yes.
like he's right next to me,
You
even
would
if
think.
I can't see him.
We want to thank our sponsor of today's show, Mace H. Greenfield, attorney at law, 631-815-5577, 631-815-5577 for all your divorce and family law needs. And check it out on the website at macenylaw.com. Say thank you, sponsor.
Thank you, sponsor. Thank you very
You're
much.
very welcome. And why don't you tell...
Toot, toot, toot. Toot your own horn.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I will, but we're on TV. I don't, they could tell what I was doing if by the arm movement. If
I was thinking
tooting
the
my
horns
own
on your
horn.
head,
wrong,
like
wrong,
when you had the horns.
wrong
yeah.
type of horn tooting. So sorry.
Yeah,
Why don't you tell everyone about the guest you're going to have next Sunday?
Well, next Sunday and the Sunday after, this sponsor person is a lucky person, is going to be in Aruba. Although it's going to be very warm there. I don't know if I'd want to be there now. I'd want to be there in December because I like the cold.
Yeah, but the trade winds breeze.
Oh.
You don't feel...
Okay. So anyway, I'm going to be hosting and co-hosting with a Dr. Robert Mittman. He has an office in Levittown and in Bayside. Very good allergist. And he's going to be talking about very appropriate subject for this time of year, allergies and skin conditions. And again, we'll be free for you to ask him questions later, but he'll be sitting in this spot, or maybe should I be sitting in this spot and he be sitting in my spot?
You could do that. Or you can lay across the table and let him be in a chair.
So he can examine me.
Yeah.
We'll be playing doctor.
Or if he likes sushi, you can lay there naked with, raw fish on you for him to, have dinner.
Oh, really?
While doing the show.
In case he's hungry.
Yeah.
But if I wear green, then we won't see anything, will
That's
we?
right. You could wear a light... Oh, you just told them how I did my magic trick and going invisible. Thanks a whole lot.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They probably thought I'm really invisible right now.
I don't think they thought you were invisible. I think they thought that you were wearing something that was see-through, or that you were wearing something that was light tan. But instead, it was light green. Usually, if you've ever seen those women's bathing suits that look like you can see through them, but you can't, but they have they're white with the tan lining, those are the scary ones to wear because everybody looks and thinks they can see through it even though they can't.
Oh, the best. The best. Feel free to steal this one. You wear, you swim shorts, but under it you wear like a Speedo.
Sure.
Something real small. So when you're out there goofing with the friends,
You start taking them off.
You take the shorts off and, you pass it to a friend, under the water who comes up from the water. Ha! Pantsed you! Give me back my shorts! And you're yelling and screaming, while your friend is waving the shorts in the air and you're chasing after him out of the water and everyone's staring like this to see you naked. And you got a bathing suit on underneath it and everyone's like, Girls, you could do that too with
A
have
yellow,
the bikini,
teeny-weeny
have,
yellow polka
have
dot
shorts over the
bikini.
bikini
Yeah.
bottom when you're in the water, and chase someone, who then swinging it. Everyone's going to be staring. Total disappointment for them.
I'm sure they'll stare a lot more at the girl than they will at the guy who's doing it. Yeah.
But
Nobody
it still
will
gets
come and
people's
rescue the guy.
attention.
It does get
It gets attention. It's not just, the staring like you're talking of.
See, this guy always
But
wants
it's also-
attention. You
but
always
it's-
want attention.
It's also, the type of thing you're going to be looking. Is that idiot really going to chase him out of the water and come out naked? You know what I mean? So you get like everyone looking anyway.
How about if you do with a two-piece and you're a girl and they take the top first and then the bottom and they're holding one in each hand and the girl's, give me my bathing suit, and she's running after him and she's got one of those, either that is obviously a bathing suit or one is that you can see through or you think you can see through but you really can't. Then you have to move the camera and closer to show that she actually has a bathing suit on.
Yeah, except the only thing is then for both pieces, as soon as they come up out of the water here, and then they see there is coverage and they know it's bullshit.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's why you make like just like they got your bathing suit bottoms.
Oh, okay. What if you wear
When
a
it takes
tiny
longer.
one underneath it, though? A very tiny one, and you wear like, let's call it for my age, a matronly one.
Wait a second, I like where you're going with this. One of those like European tiny little just piece of string coverage.
Yes.
And then
Brazilian.
the regular Brazilian, and then you wear the regular bikini over it, and so your friend runs out with that. That works perfect because you can still get to see everything.
Yeah, but you know, you're covered enough to be decent, to avoid arrest.
Not those Brazilian ones I'm thinking of.
Then how come they can wear them in Brazil,
Because in Brazil you can go topless and stuff.
but not here?
No.
Is that
Well,
because the men
technically-
respect women more
actually-
in Brazil and they won't attack them if
actually-
they're topless?
It's because this country is more prudish than most
We're the
others.
Puritans, we are.
Than most others, because most
Yeah.
other countries, it's not a, you know, like most of Europe to go topless at the beach or whatever, no big
On the
deal.
Riviera, sure.
You know, and, you know,
Aruba?
also, Aruba, I'm not sure. I know the French colonies, not a problem. But it's much more prudish here.
Yes.
Although I do have to admit, there are those, because I've traveled, that it's like, oh God, I wish I was back in the States where they were not allowed to be naked.
You mean the wrong people are taking advantage of it.
Actually, the majority of those I've seen naked, both men and women, are ones that, in my opinion, should leave their clothes on.
Also, the ones that don't want to get a sunburn in parts that usually aren't exposed to the sun.
Excuse me, miss. Could you please help me put suntan lotion on? My elbows are hurting and I can't straighten my arms out to reach over there. No, I sunburn really easy. You need to rub a lot more on, please.
Oh, you're bad. You're bad. I'd like to be a camera trailing you when you think nobody's watching, because if this is how he behaves when he knows people are watching, imagine what you see and what you hear when people aren't looking, or when you think people aren't looking.
Oh, you've seen me in public. You know I can say some really outrageous things to absolute strangers to get a rise.
Yes. When they start to think they should take what you're saying seriously.
Yeah.
But you also rescue children when you see a weird creature in the men's room who's doing strange things.
Then
You get them more security. I remember that.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yeah. We're just about out of time, so I can't
Yeah,
really talk
yeah.
about that. But yeah, there was someone shooting up heroin or something in the bathroom at Smith Haven Mall, and he was like slumped in the stall next to the one I was in, and it automatic flushed, and he jostled, and then the syringe fell to the floor, and it took Smith Haven like forever to get the security down there. I stood and waited around to make sure no kids went in the bathroom. Folks, we're just about out of time. I want to thank you all for checking us out again. You've been watching and listening to Long Island Talks. Everything Long Island, even if it's not, let's get lit together. We want to thank you for watching. Don't forget, I'll be posting the link for last week's show and this week's show so your friends can watch the recorded version. Don't forget to tune in the next 2 Sundays where it'll just be Dr. Gene doing the show with that doctor whomever, and I don't want to know because he does syringes and I hate syringes.
He's bringing a big needle. Dr. Robert Mittman, allergist.
I'm glad I won't be here. I hate needles. Listen, folks, we love you. We know you love us.
Bye.
Take care, and we'll see you again soon, and tell all your friends about us. Tune in again. We're just about out of time. You know how you mistime that, and then you got like 5, 4, 3, 2, bye!
Coming in and going out are very difficult.
Yeah.
The hardest parts of anything. The middle usually
Coming
works.
in is a lot easier than going out.
I found actually not sometimes.